day. Thank you for joining us for part 2 of our exciting interview with Mr. James Spann. If you missed part 1, please check that out on our YouTube page as well.
But guess what happened
What happened?
in 1978? So I was an electrical engineering major, and I got a call from the local TV station in Tuscaloosa, wanted to know if I would be willing to do weather on the TV. You mean you're going to pay me to talk about weather on the TV? And they were going to pay me $1.90 an hour. And that was a lot of money back then.
Yes, sir.
Man, goodness. So that started my TV career. This was the summer of 1978. Little bitty station in Tuscaloosa, Channel 33, which is part of 3340 today. And it's 41 years ago.
41.
Yeah. I was 2 when I started. No, I was 22. I'm 63 now.
It's amazing. So you, just like you said, you make your debut in 1978, and then you would actually end up going on to join the news team at WSFA Channel 12. Is that right? The same station?
You know more about me than I do. That's disturbing. Yeah, when I was little, my hometown is Greenville. I'm from Butler County, Alabama. I bet you've never been to Butler County.
Can't
No,
say
you don't get out much. But when you lived in Greenville back in the 60s, there's one channel, you could pick up, and it was Channel 12 in Montgomery. Everybody watched it. It's a legendary station. All of the civil rights trauma the state experienced back in the 60s, they covered all that. Goodness, it was just to work there, I couldn't believe it. So I was 22 years old working at Channel 12 and the Gump, man. I mean, I will never, ever, ever be able to top this in my career. But the only problem, I was doing more sports than weather, and I don't know anything about sports. You want to see something bad? Go to YouTube, search James Spann Sports WSFA. Oh, it was horrible. I mean, it was bad.
Surely not.
I was just some greaser guy doing something I really wasn't good at. But they'd let me do a little weather, but it was mostly sports. But again, working in that building, I will always be thankful for the opportunity. I really learned a lot about television. And that was a big operation and a legacy operation. And but what's weird, the next year I got a job offer to go back into radio, and they were going to pay me more money. And again, this was a legacy station in Montgomery. This was WHHY. And I left TV. I look back on it, what am I thinking? Why would I leave television to go back and play rock and roll music? But sometimes you make odd decisions. So there I was. But 3 months later, I got a call from Channel 13 in Birmingham to go back to television, to be the main weather anchor, weeknight, main job. I was 22, had no formal education. I was still an engineering major.
Yes, sir.
And I was all over that. I mean,
you're a big shot, man.
Wow. So this was the fall of '79. So when I came to Birmingham 40 years ago, doing TV 41, came to Birmingham 40 years ago.
Yes, sir.
And let me just say this too. I will always be thankful to what they did for me at Mississippi State. I was at the University of Alabama as a double E major, and I knew this is not working, because to do this job right, I have to be in school and get the right education. So they came along at the right time where I could do distance learning. Stark was only 2 hours away. It's I was back and forth all the time, but I was able to take proctored exams and work while going to school, which I've done all my life. And what they did for me, I'm very faithful to them and their program over there. So, so I was Channel 13 for 5 years. And I got transferred.
Yes, sir, to Texas.
Yeah. I was called to the front office on a Friday afternoon. I thought I was being fired. You will learn in the world of business, when they call you to the front office on a Friday afternoon, you're out of here. You're fired. And I got in there, and the general manager had a strange look on his face, and I'm thinking, oh boy. And we were expecting our first child. We'd been married for 3 years back then, and I'm thinking, oh no, this is just horrible. But he said, there's a phone call for you. This is weird.
On a Friday.
This is not some phone booth here. What? So I picked up the phone, and it was the president of the corporation that owns the station. And he said some nice things. And he said, we're going to promote you to the largest station we own, the CBS channel in Dallas. And you start Monday. So I was so relieved that I wasn't being fired. That deal about being transferred and starting Monday hit me really about an hour later. I'm thinking, whoa.
I can imagine.
better call my wife. And she went into labor when she found out. And our son was born the next day.
Huh.
And they still made me go to Dallas on Monday. So that was a weekend when I pulled out all my hair. I used to be a good looking guy like you. But I was in Dallas for 2 years. Great experience. Very thankful for it. Made some great friends. Some really important relationships in the weather enterprise I made out there. But I'm a homeboy. You're probably some city slicker guy
Oh,
that'll go to Los Angeles. He'll be some guy in Los Angeles,
oh
one
my
day, and he won't
goodness.
even remember, interviewed you in Oak Mountain. Never heard of it. But my wife is, folks were here. My mom was here. And we just felt led to come back. And I turned down a very generous offer to stay. And again, it's one of those moments looking back on it. Nobody would make that decision. But I walked away from a great extension to come to a small town in Alabama. And two friends of mine and myself, we bought a radio station.
Okay. And that's something.
And I owned and ran a radio station in Demopolis, Alabama. You ever been to Demopolis? You don't get out much, do you? That's the running theme of this interview here. But it was great. I learned about business.
Right.
And the nice thing about radio, I could do 18 hours of weather if I wanted to. I own the thing, man. We can do
Yeah.
whatever we want to do. But 3 years into that, I got a call from Channel 6 in Birmingham asking me to come back to do weather.
Yep.
And I thought about it, and I said, okay. I just felt like I'm supposed to do that. We're born to do certain things.
Yes, sir.
And all of these life experiences combine to prepare you for those important moments in those times where you're called to do these things. But so I've been back in Birmingham since '89. So I've been
Okay.
back for a long time.
Yes, sir. So you'd be at WBRC, is that right? And then you would
Channel 6 News.
ultimately end up at ABC 3340.
Yeah, that station was formed in 1996. There's a bunch of affiliation swapping going on back then. Channel 6 used to be the ABC channel here.
Okay.
It was ABC 6. And the family that got the license for the ABC affiliation here, they wanted me to come to work for them, and they gave me a promise. They said, if you come to work for us, you got free run of the place. You can interrupt programming and stay on as long as you want to during tornadoes. And boy, this alarm was going off in my head. All right.
Yes,
And I love my friends at Channel 6. I mean, I love the time. We spent there a long time, but I couldn't turn that down.
Yes, sir.
So 1996, 3340 formed. And the first night where that really paid off was April 8th, 1998. Had a horrible tornado in places like Oak Grove, Rock Creek, Sylvan Springs, McDonald Chapel, Pratt City, and Edgewater. And I know you've never been to those places because you don't got much. But it killed 34 people, but the death toll could have been in the hundreds. It was a horrible EF5 tornado. And we were the only station, wall to wall. Everybody else was doing the old school, on, off, on, off, on, off. And now everybody's doing wall to wall, which is great. That's what we want. And we work with some great colleagues in this city. This is a great weather market. All the friends I have on the other channels. But so it's paid off, and we still do the same thing today. And, television has changed dramatically, but one thing it hasn't is that severe weather coverage is still a big deal when there's tornadoes flying around here.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. All right. So your book, Weathering Life, this is the legendary, I mean, truly is a phenomenal read, and I'm not just saying that. And just going through it, just like I said, gives you such a snapshot into your career and just your life. And it seems like, and kind of like you've been discussing, with every storm that you encountered and that you kind of communicated, it's like you had something to learn from it.
Right. And it's true for anybody. No matter what you do for a living, we'll all have 1 or 2 days that define who we are.
Right.
And that's it. They might be early in life, they might be later, but everything that happens to you prepares you for one of those 2 days where you have a defining moment. For me, one of mine was April 27, 2011, that horrible tornado outbreak 8 years ago. All this stuff we've talked about prepped me for that. But if you want some inside baseball on that day in my life, it's all there. I wrote that myself. I just felt like I needed to write it down because I think it will encourage people that struggle. We all have struggles, but that deal when my dad left was just crushing. It crushed me. And to come out of that and survive and have a life where you're blessed and everything, I think it encourages people. And it's a lot about weather history too. Great weather history stories in there.
Yes. You are truly amazing.
No, I'm not. You are. To have to listen to this for so long.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. To kind of wrap up, is there any advice you can give to a program as fresh as ours here at Oak Mountain Media?
Well, background is science, not television,
Right.
but I will say this, television will never be the same. Never. You know, your generation will not sit down and watch television like my generation, which is great. I think it's great. I think it's going to be a better model. It will be a different model. There'll
Mm,
be some pain during the change, but the nice thing about it, everybody's got a screen. Everybody's got a phone. And so
yes,
the
sir.
platform is always going to be there. And by producing relevant content that people will consume across all these platforms, you've got the opportunity of a lifetime. But the main thing I think for people in media, you've got to understand your audience and be able to communicate with them and have a servant's heart. It's not about you. It's sure not about me.
Right.
It's about serving others. I take our interns in the summer, these brilliant, brilliant atmospheric science majors. They can do differential equations like you've never seen. I'll take them to a Walmart. That's my first place I'll take them. The
Really.
Walmart in Adamsville. It's the greatest mixing pot of people in the state. And some of them can't communicate with people in that Walmart. If you can't communicate with people in a Walmart, you know, you won't be successful in media.
Yes, sir.
But I love your generation. I think your generation's better than mine, smarter than mine. You're going to figure this out, and it's going to be good.
Yes, sir. There's no telling where it's going. That's amazing.
It's exciting times for you guys,
Yes,
but
sir.
it will never be the same.
Yes, sir. Well, I just want to thank you on behalf of, all Alabamians and really people all over the nation. I mean, just the amount of lives that you're saving by being the chief communicator of just all sorts of weather. And, we're certainly not the same because of what you're doing right now, Mr. Spann. So,
Well, thank you, Ryan.
yeah,
Enjoyed it.
thank you so much for
Okay.
coming in. All right. And thank you so much for tuning in. Please be sure to catch Mr. Spann's book. You can order it at spannbook.com. You can also keep up with upcoming weather on his weather blog, alabamawx.com. And keep up with Oak Mountain Media on our Twitter at OakMTN Media. And thank you so much. I'm Ryan Hall.